So Luke experienced two big problems. One of them was on the fulfillment side and the other one on the paid ad side. And to give you a good perspective of the situation, I first asked Luke to tell a bit about his frustrations on the fulfillment side.
What I experienced with other fulfillments is mainly the lack of freedom. At the end, there's a lot of microprocesses going on. And every business, of course, wants to run their business on the way that it is most ideal for them. For a fulfillment center, that's most of the time efficiency, but I think is coming with a very big price tag for e-commerce founders. So we found that a lot of these processes should be personalizable in order to make sure that they fit correctly to the actual brand.
You might also be aware of the lack of personalization and freedom with most fulfillment companies, but some of the things that Luke told me on later were very shocking and cost Ecom founders a lot of money on a monthly basis. Later on, Luke will tell us more about that, but I was also wondering about the problems he was facing on the paid ad side.
We've already been doing ads for quite a while, also before you came in.
Like five years-ish.
Yeah, we burned a good amount of agencies as well. And at some point you might even get as skeptical for agencies that you don't even know if there's one that can actually promise.
I do remember our closing call, our sales call. You were very skeptical.
Yeah, man. I mean, at some point you just don't trust it anymore. You've been burning quite a lot of money on agencies, and I do consider us quite knowing of what we're doing. Also, we should even be possible to do it ourselves from a technical perspective. But it's just that a good agency, someone like you, for example, with your team, has so much more insights into the market, has so much more knowledge. And for me personally, one of the biggest things is that also there's not an emotional view on things. Because of an entrepreneur, sometimes you want to scale up in a specific way, you're looking at other numbers, you're looking at opportunities, and you might honestly get a bit too excited or get a bit scared in specific scenarios. A well-trained media buyer that has done a good amount of work on other accounts as well, I think can be more analytical on the data and make sure that you don't create a kind of like wave of like destructive wave, especially with Google. It's very sensitive accounts that if you touch it the wrong way, you're getting into a cycle of constantly overcompensating and changing target ROAS and changing other strategies, and before you know, you're in a downward spiral.
By answering a few questions, you can find out in just a couple minutes what a proper Google Ads strategy can do for your brand. And you'll get everything from me. So you'll get keyword research, market analysis, and everything tailored to your store. So if you want to figure out how that works, click the link in the description and figure out how. And before Luke showed me the rest of his warehouse, he wanted me to get a better understanding of what's wrong with the traditional way of fulfillment and how he does it differently. So Luke realized that most fulfillment companies optimize for their own efficiency and profit, not for your profit. And that ended up costing him a lot of money and a lot of headaches. So he decided to build it differently. Normally, a fulfillment business consists of 7 core stages,
which is supply chain, inbound and quality control, pick, pack, personalization, shipment and customer service, return management, and resale.
This might look like smooth fulfillment on paper, but it often hides delays, stock issues, bad customer experience, rising ad costs, and dead inventory. And like Luke said, with
all of these problems, the bill always comes to you. Everybody says, yeah, okay, we tried our best, but at the end, the invoice comes to you.
To the owner.
Yeah.
So if we look at the supply chain and inbound and quality control, most fulfillment companies just wait until the stock comes and often work with cheap temporary staff who don't know about your brand or your product. And if shipping delays happen, they mostly don't care and it becomes your problem.
I almost forgot what kind of headache it used to be with other fulfillment centers, because all of a sudden your slot that you have been reserved with them cannot be used. They have to pre-plan you in another time because there's other people also there. And then before you know, your container is waiting 1.5 weeks in port, which is also coming with extra costs. You have extra container fees, your stock is stuck, your cash is stuck, and everything starts to snowball into
bigger issues and a lot of headaches. And besides that, you will lose a ton of momentum in paid advertising, which mostly results in dropping performance. Luke was done with these problems, so he first solved this for himself by choosing smarter freight methods, balancing inventory levels, and preventing operational bottlenecks even before they happen. And it worked out so well that other e-commerce founders started to ask him for his help. So he does the same for his clients right now, and in my opinion, he does that with a great mindset.
We like to make sure that we don't grow too quick. And that way we keep flexibility to take in consideration what is actually possible to go wrong. And we're having a very dedicated team that we take very well care for. And that's why we can all go the extra mile. It's kind of like working with entrepreneurs that having entrepreneurs inside of their systems. I'm not going to promise you, of course, anything, but if there's a case that we have to offload a container on a Sunday afternoon, then we will unload the container on a Sunday afternoon.
And besides that, Luc realized fulfillment isn't just logistics. It's customer experience and a way to make a lot more profit with your e-commerce store if you do the right things. But most fulfillment companies have some questionable tactics to keep those profits for themselves.
The more you spend, the more margin they can try to squeeze inside of something. So if you get a bigger package, they probably make more margin on it. So why would they help you making sure that you are being more efficient? They don't. Or they don't care, because they're busy with getting new clients, they're busy with making more money. But it could save you a whole lot of money to make sure that your sizes go down.
And they also look at how they can improve your customer experience by, for example, adding custom flyers, specific branding, the presentation of your product, maybe even adding a certain smell with perfume to your package if it fits the brand. Everything to make the experience better for the customer, improving your return customer rate, building your brand, and ultimately making you a lot more profits, of course. And where most people look at the profits in the small numbers with high volumes, Luc does it differently.
You can save 20 cents or 50 cents on a shipment, but if you can lower your return rates and also higher your returning customer rates, you don't even care about those few cents anymore.
And a lot of the times, fulfillment, shipping, and customer service are disconnected from each other, and founders end up managing all the chaos that it causes. But Luc makes sure to set up a custom solution for your specific situation.
It could be partly, it could be full-time, depending on what your necessities are. It could also be very minimal effort. At least there's some form of like hybrid integration.
All to make sure that everything runs as smooth as possible for the founder and his customers. And most fulfillment centers simply process returns at a fixed rate, stack them in the corner and move on. But that's where you quietly lose a lot of money. They rarely think about restoring value, resale potential, or what actually makes economic sense for your business.
So it stacks up, it gets disgusting, and then all of a sudden all of your money there is stuck.
And that's why Luc builds custom return and resale systems for every brand that they serve. And it made me wonder,
How is that different from other fulfillment parties?
From other fulfillment parties, most of the time it gives you that amount of headache that you'd rather be better off just burning the shit. With all due respect.
That was clear, and he also told me that returned products that are not in a good state anymore quite often get sent out again to new customers, which ruins their experience and will leave you with a lot of headaches and a bad reputation. So that's why Luc's system focuses on recovering as much value as possible by quality checks, repairs, refolding, repackaging, etc. So only strong inventory goes back into the business and bad stock gets filtered out before it even creates damage. And to wrap it up, Luc summarized his process in a perfect way.
With our customer service help and with our systems, we could get to a stage where you technically should be able to make it feel like you're having the warehouse downstairs.
And you might be thinking, how many orders a month do you need for it to make sense to open your own fulfillment center? And of course, it's different for everyone, and many other factors come into play. But Luc is doing
5,000 to 8,000 orders a month.
Nice.
In general. But it's a bit low season. We're expecting to double that in the next month.
Yep.
If you guys can do what you're doing so far, we should be going quite well.
We'll scale up some ads and then we're good to go.
But then Luc surprised me with a little side quest.
Where are we going afterwards?
So we can kind of like walk an order ourselves if you want to see. Then
sure.
Maybe you can be the highest efficient picker of the day.
Yeah, sure, let's try that out, yeah.
So there we went, and it wasn't as easy as I expected it to be, because even with Luc's instructions, it took me a long time to find the products I had to pick for the order.
Let's try. Okay, so we're looking for a P, yeah?
No, the P has already been done. The P is the whole area that you're in. So
Okay.
there's a lot of different areas.
So now we're looking for D4M.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and before that, I saw someone from Luc's team doing the order packing, and it made me realize that I was gonna have a hard time beating that speed and efficiency.
So we'd have the products, we have the flyers, we have the order. We're gonna get a shipping bag in this case.
And after we finished packing, Luc told me about the importance of the stability that we provide in terms of orders.
What would happen if we get 500 orders one day and 0 the other? If there's no stability inside of processes and there's no consistency because of outages or other issues, let's say if there's not even a support system to cover up whenever your ad account maybe gets out of the air, if there are some issues here and there, and you don't have the right connections, which you have, which you've helped me also for in the past quite a lot with, then this whole operations get into chokehold. Just as much as fulfillment here is the key, it's as much depending on a stable order flow that is provided by you and team.
This of course made me very happy to hear, but unfortunately for Luc, it wasn't always like this, and the frustrations he had before working with us were still rooted very deep within him.
Kind of tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, and at some point you're just tweaking for tweaking it, and it gets worse, and then you want to open it up again because it starts to squeeze the daily budget. But because it squeezed the daily budget, your revenue is gone. So you kind of like want to open it up again because you are saying, okay, well, fuck it, I'm accepting the lower ROAS, but I need my revenue right now, so you lower it up. Then boom, the account starts to scale, and then you get comfortable, and then you want to have more margins again, you scale a bit down. At some point you're just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and you just eat up your margin that way, and your stability, and your peace, and your relationships, your whole life is gonna...
And then we came in, and that all went away.
Yes.
That's great, man.
Now we're going to one of the areas where there's just my stuff from one of my brands. What generally is happening in our system, which gives the brand that we're talking about the most efficiency, is that we're really having the small locations for a day-to-day use, and then every now and then we're replenishing those locations with the bigger amount of stocks, so that we don't have to kind of use the big movements on a daily basis, and therefore we can be extremely efficient. Let's say 90% of the orders are very centralized, so that it's very easy and quick to pack them. And every now and then we need to get a pallet from here in order to make sure that the small locations are supplied. I'll show you how we take something from the pallet locations.
You need me to stay here, or can I follow?
No, you can come with me,
Okay.
stay behind me so that I can explain you everything. So this is one of our forklifters.
Alongside the many benefits this fulfillment center provides Luc, there are also dangers they have to really be aware of, because
if I fuck up when I'm doing something, what could happen? Carton box could land on my head, but it doesn't even land on my head. And if it's a very heavy machine, it still could land on this, but this frame is so strong. What is the danger is that if I race around the corner because I'm already too late, somebody else is walking around here to pick an order, and then all of a sudden these forks are going inside of your leg so that's why we're making sure that whenever we're using these machines, there's no floor movements in general.
later on, Luc showed me something almost no other fulfillment center does, and it was one of the things that he got screwed over from in the past.
What is in this box, which is not even a full box anymore, but they had it maybe on 4 locations. And in that case, you pay for 4 locations, while it could be just 1. So you're overspending a very good amount, and you don't have any control. So you cannot replenish it. And in that way, it could be, I assume, that most of these fulfillment agencies are leveraging the excess of space. So of course, a fulfillment agency wants to be able for growth, but in the spaces where they are fully committing their growth, they have an extra space that they have to pay money for. So if they're trying to use all of that space by locating the stock of the clients a bit more inefficiently, they're getting more revenue out of the stock.
And it's still a commercial company. Yeah, of course.
But you're shooting in the margins. So you could be very happy saving 20 cents on an order because you're working with a big guy. But if you are getting the invoice, and every e-commerce entrepreneur knows this working with a fulfillment center, if you get the bill, there's always
It's always higher than expected.
yeah.
So if you don't want to get screwed over by your fulfillment center,
First of all, check the invoice. Really dive into it deeply. Now, with the current age, AI is your biggest friend. It could mainly be the personalization of shipping sizes, making sure that you're shipping as efficient as possible, trying to really dive into how the packages are looking right now, and stock management, seeing if the stock is being replenished often. You had a return process, man. Try to see what is possible, what's not possible, and try to maximize the living out of it, because that's where you're leaving a lot of money on the table. If you're just beginning, ChatGPT is your biggest friend, but if you're a bit like 20 orders are up, or you have very high order values, then hit me up and I might be able to just give you a few insights.
to contact Luc, there's a link below. And to calculate what potential you are missing out on with Google Ads, there's a link to do a 2-minute check. And if you want to scale without chaos, you can book a free Google Ads audit with us as well. Ciao.